Okay, good evening. My name is Bart Verswijvel, and I'm very happy to be the host of tonight's webinar. Uh, the webinar of today is an open webinar, which means that we also welcome participants that are not part of the Living Schools Lab project. The speaker of tonight is Ryan Guest from the UK, and his job title is something we don't know in Belgium, but maybe some other countries do. He's the Learning Gateway Deputy Manager of his school, and his school is the Sherland Collegiate Academy in the UK. I hope I was right.
That's correct.
Okay, and he will talk about photosynth in education. Of course, I will leave the topic to Ryan. I will pass the ball to you, Ryan, and then you are the presenter of tonight. And then, as I said, please, if you have any comments, any questions, add them to the chat box. And the floor is yours, Ryan.
Thank you very much. Okay, good evening, everybody. As Bart explained, I'm here just to give you a brief insight into photosynth and a pedagogical look at the use of photosynth and how you can use it and some of the activities you can do within your school. Okay, so what is Photosynth? Basically, Photosynth is a product that was developed out of the Microsoft research labs by students who were looking at phototourism. So they were looking at how they can fully immerse people within a 2D flat image and how they can give them more of a sense of adventure and an experience when they're actually viewing the photographs instead of something that's just a bit flat and boring, so to speak. So what Photosynth does is allows you to take a series of photographs and present them into a 3D model. Now it's free to use and available to download through the Partners in Learning network, or you can get it directly from Microsoft's website itself. The two types of service that Photosynth, the website, offers. One is a panorama, which is you can see in the bottom left of the slide, which is just a series of photographs taken from the same distance perspective, so in order to stitch together to give that seamless experience of actually panning a scene, so to speak. This has been recently incorporated on things like the new iPhone 5 as well. It's automatically got the pan feature, and also the new Samsung phone is incorporated in that phone. Now, with regards to the Photosynth application, you can download this on most mobile devices, but you can only do a panorama on a mobile device. You can't actually do a full Photosynth. I will show you the difference between the two and as we go along further on in this presentation. Now, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, that's an example of a Photosynth. So you can see, like it's a scaled model. Every point of articulation that you can see in regards to the model is where an image has been taken or where the photosynth technology can map to that actual building or scale model. So you can see there it's made of the church or whatever it may be there from a series of different points. And these can be created obviously within your PC, so you need a desktop computer or a laptop in order to do these, because obviously the processing power is much greater. Okay, so at Sherland Collegiate Academy, we've been using Photosynth for quite a while. It's not a new technology. It's been around for 5 years plus, but it's the way that we've incorporated this technology, and we use it within the school. So one of the first things that we did was to aid transition. So as pupils are moving from primary to secondary school, one of the biggest things that can be one of the most daunting things is their new school. What's their new classroom going to look like? What's it going to be like when I get to the new school? So one of the first things that we did is basically give access to the primary school students in order so they could see what their new classroom is going to look like. And straight away that takes out a lot of the fears of, going into the secondary school. What's the, canteen going to look like? What's the classroom going to look like? So we can even tailor, we know what students are coming in. So we can say, for example, you're going to go into year 7, class 7B1. This is what 7B1 looks like. So the students can automatically see their classroom. I'll just show you a quick example of that. I'm just going to flick from the slide onto the desktop. So, for example, this is like one of the art classes. So we can send out a link to this art class so the students can come in and they can see what the actual classroom is going to look like. So as you can see, as I hover over, these are all the images that it's taken, that has been taken, sorry, in order to stitch them together. I'll go into a bit more detail a bit later on about how to create this kind of thing. But as you can see, it gives a full insight into what your classroom is going to look like when you join us in Year 7, for example. You can go into to look at some of the artwork on the side, so you can go into the detail. And the level of zoom is quite fantastic. But as you can see, you know, you can fully appreciate what your classroom is going to look like when you join the school. So again, that alleviates a lot of the fears straight away, because that is one of the biggest things moving to the new school, obviously, new surroundings, etc. So setting of the stage, basically. So how are you going to set the stage up for your Photosynth and what you're going to use it for? So that is one of the main things that you need to do is basically set out a clear idea of how you're going to use Photosynth. So it's taking a series of photographs, as we said previously. In this context, so for example, one of the examples I've got here to show you is one that we did at the Black Country Living Museum. So the Black Country Living Museum is set in Victorian times, so it allows we take students on a trip there. And this method that we've recently adapted with regards to the flipped learning methodology, we're now using it for flipped trips. So for example, what we do is we go out to the place where they're going to visit, and we take a series of photographs and images, and we create tasks using Photosynth before they go on the trip. So what students are doing basically is they're doing research, they're looking at the places, what they're going to visit, they're gaining information before they actually get out to go on that trip. Okay, so this one is from the Black Country Living Museum, as we said, and this one in particular is based on Emile Doux's Chemist. So as you can see, we've got prompting questions around the edge straight away for students to answer. So there are a lot of glass bottles on display. How do you know if the bottles contain poison? What do the different colours of the bottles in the chemist's window signify, etc., etc. So basically, we're prompting, you know, all the questions for the students to answer before they enter the resource. If they go into the resource, they can then go around and actually visit the chemist, as you can see on the screen. If they want to look in any detail, if anything in particular, you can go into the bottles, for example. If you want to read the labels of the bottles, you can zoom in and you can go in and look at the detail of what was actually written on the bottles in those days, so to speak. You can also prompt the students. So for example, I've put leading prompts down here. So I've embedded a worksheet. So here's a worksheet with some questions. So we've got some answers on there that the students can go and have a look at. So again, it's taking them to different parts, and you can then highlight different areas that you want the students to go and look at. It's also a great resource to differentiate tasks, because you can set different tasks, as I said, for different groups within the same resource. So they could be looking for different things depending on ability or whatever you may want to do. So you can see there's many examples there where they might want to look at branding, for example. So how has branding changed over the years, and advertising, for example, that could be another task that is being used with this resource. But again, it depends on what subject you're doing and what kind of information you want the students to obtain. Okay, yeah. Going back to the transition one as well. It's one of the first things that we do with new Year 7 students. So we do give them access to the school even when they join the academy. So not just prior to them coming to the academy, when they actually join in Year 7, we give them access to the school Photosynth. So that enables them to look around the academy and find their way around. So without leaving the classroom, they can find out where the different departments are, where the school restaurant is, the academy restaurant, sorry, where the toilets are, for example. So as soon as they come out of their classroom, they know how to navigate around the school without even having to leave the school. They can then access that when they get home as well. So if they're unsure, they can go back on and have a look. And it's just a great visual aid for the students just to refer to whenever they need to. Right, taking your Photosynth images. What Photosynth does is it looks for a 50% overlap. So it's looking for key points within your scene, within the image that you're taking, so it can reference it basically in the next image. So you've got if for example you're taking a room like the chemist one that I've just shown you in the recent example, you need to stand literally in the middle of the room and do a full 360 and take an image all the way around. You then need to go in and take your detail. So as you can see in there in the first picture on the left hand side, that was one, I stood in the middle of the room, took that picture. I've then gone up to the counter and took the picture again of the bottles, and then I've zoomed in again onto the detail and took those pictures. The levels of zoom again will all depend on the quality of the camera that you're using. I tend to find that about a 10 megapixel camera minimum is what you're looking for, which is pretty standard really these days. You can find cheap 14, 16 megapixel cameras, which are around £100 or something like that. But I'd say 10 megapixels definitely as a minimum. It's the clarity of the images that make the quality of the Photosynth really. So the way that you saw me zoom right in on the detail of that, the bottle that we saw just, is because obviously I've zoomed right in and took a good quality photo. This is the Raglan Castle Photosynth, as you can see. So this one is quite in depth because you can go into a lot of detail and actually tour around the castle. So as you can see there, we've got a stuck map. So this is like, here are the plans of Raglan Castle, so that students can go on, look at the plans, and then they can work their way around that as well, so they can see the actual map of it. So we want them to go and look at the Great Tower, so we can say there's one of the first buildings erected by Sir William Thomas in the first half of the 15th century, originally 1 story higher. So you click on that and it'll show you the towers there. So you can highlight certain bits that you want them to. But what we tend to do is you want to give the freedom of exploration to the students as well. Because as they're using this, you can sit 2 students next to each other and they can literally have different experiences every time they're using it. So, I mean, as I said, like, differentiation of task is easy to do within this kind of resource, because, you know, you're constantly getting different stuff and getting different information. Just to show you one of the examples as well, so this is the images. If I just quickly flick to the 2D view, you'll see how many images that were taken that all link up. So you can go across and have a look at the bank of images. You can then zoom into any one of these particular images and view it that way. What we can also do is, if we go back into the 3D view, we can do what we call a point cloud, and this is the model view. So you can see here where it's got every single point where it's picked it up from the images that have been taken and how it's mapped it to the model of the castle. This is good for things like game design, because this is the similar models that people like Call of Duty use. So like, it gets some of the students engaged as well to say, look, you know, we can make a fully fledged 3D model based on the images that you're taking. And again, it's just another way getting students engaged. Okay, so yeah, it's key that basically we take the images, you're taking the 360, so you're going around and just, you know, taking everything of the room, and then you go in to take the actual detail that you want to zoom in on. Again, you can tailor this to what you want to use the Photosynth for, so you can tailor, you know, you can only zoom in on, for example, the bottles, because we want the students to look at the bottles, or it might be something in particular that you're photographing at the time. Okay, so here's some of the examples that you can see. Again, the classroom one that we've shown, we had a recent art exhibition as well. So the students were able to display their work, their artwork, to their parents as well, so the parents could see it at home. So when they log on, the students could then go to the Photosynth and show the full gallery. I'll quickly show you that one. Right, I just want to quickly, I'll show you the art department one in a minute. I just wanted to quickly show you this way. I've got this, because I wanted to show you the level of zoom that you've got, just to highlight. This is one that's just been featured basically on the Photosynth homepage. So it's photosynth.net is the main site, the main Photosynth site. You have to sign up with a Microsoft account, so you do have to log in. It's all free, so you can use your Partners in Learning Network login details, I believe. But as you can see, some of the highlights that you've got there. So if, for example, if I just click on there now, you can see the level of zoom there. We can go in one further, and then you can zoom right down. And again, it depends on the level of your camera. But then you can see that, you know, this person who's videoing, this person who's talking or whatever. But then as we come out of there, you'll see, and that is, you know, quite amazing. Some of the detail that you can get, you can imagine, you know, how the students can go in and how they can look at all the information. And again, like we said, you know, it's an individual experience. 2 people can sat next to each other using the same resource, and they get completely different results because they're looking at different things. Okay, one of the other examples that we've used Photosynth for is when we have a collection of Photosynths, what we do is we embed them within a, we normally do an EPIC. I'll show you an example of an EPIC soon, but this is a static map. So this is the map of Dudley Zoo. So it's one of the trips that the students go on when they come to summer school. So the summer school activities that we run takes them on a trip, as I said. So as we go over the map there, this is the route that they'll be taking. But as they click on each one of the animals, it will link into a photosynth there of the animal of their choice as they're going along. So again, you can highlight certain features. We can put the information on there so the students can go in and they can start looking up key facts. So they can start the activity before they've even got to the trip, so they don't arrive on a trip and be wowed by everything. They already know what they're looking for. So they get there with part information, maybe that they've researched using the photosynth, and then when they get there, they know that they've got to go and look for the rest of the information once they're actually on the trip. Okay, so one of the other things that we did is, for example, is the cafe. So the cabin cafe is not particularly interested in photosynth, but what we use this for then basically is we've got an activity sheet. So a lot of the questions are based on the menu, so they have to come across here, and it's maths related problems. So they have to go in and work out how much it is for a hot drink plus a burger plus some ice cream, for example. But again, just another way of using photosynth and these resources, for activity. So this is, like I say, like a numeracy activity for the students to do. Well, again, all based within the same context of this W Zoo and summer school site. To show you another example of one of the science rooms. So this is again one of the science rooms that we've got at Charlton Collegiate Academy. So again, it gives students access to this. So what's the science department going to look like? So they can see new students coming in or existing students can go and look and view the classrooms. So this is the main homepage of photosynth.net. But what you'll tend to find now is that a lot of them are the panoramas. So for example, I don't know if you can still see my screen now. Mm-hmm. This is a panorama, so these are just ones that people have uploaded. So it's not a synth because you can't hover over or see it's just like one image. But the level of zoom is still fantastic, so you can still go straight down and zoom, into the detail. And again, you can highlight. So there's one highlight on this one. The person's put highlights this MasterCard advertisement for some reason. But there you go. Yeah. So if I that's just one that's just been posted on there. So there might be ones that you could use, and no doubt there will be ones that you can use on there without ever having to go to the place. The only limitation is then you can't add your own highlights down the side, and you can't add your own information or text on the actual synth itself, because obviously somebody else has created that synth. But there's nothing stopping you highlighting certain sections and telling students to go and find this. So you could say, go and find this piece of information, tell me what's on this board, for example, or tell me what's on this area, and you can use it that way. So, there's quite a vast range of uses for photosynth. It is a fantastic resource.
Yes, and do you ever have your students create their own photosynth?
Yes, yeah. We actively encourage that the students create all their own photosynths. Only recently, a group of students have gone out to New York. They were lucky enough to go out to New York, and the New York photosynths that have been created are purely based on what they have done. So all the images that they've created, I've worked with them on a couple of workshops, and I've showed them how to do the pictures. And basically, it's just making sure you're cutting out all your pictures, making sure they're all the right way. So they're all portrait, landscape, however you're going to do your synth. And then running with the technology kind of thing and uploading them to that, and then they've done their own resources, and they know where the highlights are then as well. So they're working with the teachers to say these are the aspects that you need to highlight within this area, or get students to focus on this bit. So they're producing the resources for other students within their year group or outside of the academy as well.
One more question: do you ever link your photosynths to Bing Maps?
Yes, yeah, all the photosynths are linked into Bing Maps. That's a feature that they've done maybe within the last year or so, just to populate that a bit more. It's all contained within Photosynth again, within Photosynth itself. So when you're creating your photosynth, you have the options here on the right-hand side. So you can have it listed or unlisted, as we spoke about previously. And then you've got your location, so then you can drop your map, drop your pin, on your map, wherever it may be. This is how you add your highlights, so you can go in and add a new highlight. So I can say, I want the students to focus on this area. I'll just put highlight. latest example of blah blah blah. So you click on that, and then again, look, you can see it's the highlight there. You can click on it, and then it gives you the text that you want the students to view. This is a recent art exhibition that the students were studying. So there might be a particular piece of work that you want them to go and look at. Okay, so you embed
Photosynth from Heidi, yeah.
Yeah, you could embed it on. You could embed the link. I presume you could embed the link on a blog, but you can just get the embed code, which is pretty straightforward, and you can use any embed code off any Photosynth. So, for example, if I go to the home page, okay, so for this one, for example, there, I want to use this one in a lesson. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing something about mountain ranges or something. This is what I want to use as the opener, and I'm going to ask students, where do you think this may be in the world? You can click on your embed link there, copy your embed information, and you embed that then on your class site if you've got a learning environment, or you can put a link to it, or if you haven't got anywhere to embed it, you can obviously just copy and paste the link.
Well, I've made some Photosynth myself. I made a group picture, and I made a 3D with all my students.
Okay.
But, when I was halfway, I put the same student back again in the row, so he was twice in the classroom. And also, like you did with the bottles, I hit some words, language teaching. Actually, I made a Photosynth of my kitchen, and I made some words on different objects in the kitchen with Dutch words.
Your imagination is the limit.
And also experienced that you don't have to exaggerate with the number of pictures. If you just have, let's say, 15 pictures for a 3D, that's even better than having 200 sometimes, because sometimes the system gets stuck and the result is not that much better.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I'd say 15 good quality pictures will beat like 200. You know, not so good pictures all day. Yeah.
Okay, Ryan, once again, thank you, and all the best with your school and with your personal life, and hopefully we will see each other back virtually or maybe in real life. You never know.
That would be great. Thank you.